just even that simple, it was really simple, but it was always still tricky to get it all right.
Right, and so then, whenever I get an invoice
That's all you
and
need
pay
to
it,
do.
I don't
Oh, I
write a
see.
check unless I have a piece of paper to go with it. And typically, I like it as an invoice, or definitely an email memo that says exactly what this was about, and which project it was, and then I can take and put the check number on it and the date that I wrote the check, and then I've got a dollar amount, and I keep all these pieces of paper in a file with all the projects, and that's how I resolve everything for the tax man when the tax man cometh, which is coming.
Yeah.
And so basically, I'm just doing that. We have had a requirement that if the check is over, I think $1,000, then there should be 2 signatures. We haven't done that for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
So we need to fix that. And the way I was doing it with, man, my brain is just gone. It was our last president. Nadine.
Uh-huh.
I would have the check written out, the envelope addressed and everything, and the stamp on it and whatever, and I would put it in the P.O. box. And I would let her know there were checks in there that needed a second signature. So, we could do that, but we haven't been doing that.
Yeah, well,
That's-
I understand.
And, I'm here and you're there and you're not always, but none of these are typically so urgent that it's gotta be paid tomorrow. So I think we probably should start doing that again. That's, because I'm writing $7 check for Main Street RDI.
Sure.
They got the money, okay. I've got records to back it up. But I do feel a little out there sometimes in doing that.
Yeah,
And I don't think our books are complicated enough that we do need a bookkeeper, but we could certainly
well,
engage
that's why I
one.
wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with the new nonprofit in Blue River, the Mackenzie Land Trust,
Mhm.
that's building the 6 houses there.
Right,
And they asked if we worked with a bookkeeper, and I said, no, we haven't. But they do, and they have a recommendation that we could check with theirs. The reason I'm mentioning it, because it looks like this fall, we have an opportunity through the Main Street program to apply for a $400,000 grant
Oh, okay.
with,
Go
yeah,
away,
yeah,
go away, go
yeah.
away. I'm out of here.
Well, no, but if we worked with a bookkeeper to handle
Yeah,
that,
right.
Well, that'd be
that would
big.
take,
That'd
you know,
be-
a lot
Well,
of,
I have experience in my background in handling millions of dollars, although I'm just, I've got projects people are doing, I find the people to do it, we figure out the project, they send invoices, I sign off, and then it goes to the accounting department, and they do all of that.
yeah,
But I still had to know, given the projects and how much money I had, I still had to keep tally of, hey, I'm running out of money, I can't do this anymore, or where we are in the project. So I was doing all of that, but I didn't need a checkbook.
sure.
And the accountant, they wrote all the checks and did everything like that. So it's not that the dollars are, these are piddly dollars
Yeah, yeah.
that are here, so it's.
But that's why I wanted to ask you about the
Yeah.
bookkeeper, if it would be okay with you if I checked in to see, what they might charge for something
Oh.
like that, or
You know,
get some
I
indications.
think it would be, we have someone doing the tax prep.
Right.
Now that we've got, once we went over $50,000 and we couldn't just sign the card and
Right.
send it back. I haven't done the taxes for several years, and that cost us $1,000 a year with the accountant to do the taxes. So he's not real cheap.
Yeah.
but he's
Well,
good.
in anything like a large grant, if we did get it, they have a column for administration fees. So it would be
And
covered, yeah.
they're going to, you know, your books are, the books are open, but the books are
Yeah.
are kind of hard to
Well,
interpret.
Sure,
So, and if we did have a bookkeeper, we would have
Yeah.
books that were more available to more people. So I'm fine with that.
well, good.
No, I'm not gonna arm wrestle anybody for that. So having a bookkeeper could, and maybe, but then they would provide information. We'd still get the bank statement. And even though, you know, the report I do has got this, plus I started adding the bank statement to it, but you can't go one-to-one because I've got something on here that hasn't
Mhm.
cleared the bank yet. And then these are check numbers, they're not entities.
Sure.
So, I mean, that lets everybody know that I said that's what we've got, and this says that's what we've got, or close. I mean, it's not exactly, because there are checks that won't have cleared when I write this report. So, so I'm not sure what else I brought. I'm literally, this is kind of the way, I've got a file that I put these in, and
Yeah,
they
well,
just, and I take them out at the end of the year and try to reconcile how much money we spent, especially with the rural tourism marketing program, and keeping all of that straight.
Yeah, I do it similar, but I also use the QuickBooks as well as the physical.
Right. I got tired of QuickBooks.
Yeah.
It just got, I mean, the thing is that if you didn't get something quite right, then you couldn't figure out what went wrong where, and it's like, well, hey, this is not so complicated that I can't figure it out on my own.
Yeah,
For our business, I use Checkbook Pro, it's just you know, all the checks, and all the expenses go
Right.
on in that, and it just keeps a summary and all that real good, and then I can double check on the computer with myself and everything, and the bank statements and everything, get
Right.
it all reconciled that way, but it's a help. Then I just turn it over to my son-in-law, who's the
Yeah.
Right, but still, you have to, well, with the rural tourism marketing program, the bookkeeper can't help with that. Well, maybe they could, because we'd say, if they had the invoice and it fits in this category, and we give them all the categories, then they could
Yeah.
do that, I guess. That shouldn't be that hard to do.
yeah, I think it's, you know, pretty similar to what the Mackenzie Land Trust is doing, because they're working with grants as well, and different contractors, because they're building the houses now.
Right,
In Blue
well,
River.
those are big numbers, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, when I started this, we had $25,000.
Yeah.
Well, now we got 50, but still, it's not a big number
Yeah.
that
No.
you think, well,
Relatively speaking, it's not.
you're right, it's not.
It is
I mean,
substan-
my
but
home
it-
account is
it's
more
still-
complicated.
it's substantial, because there's always so many details.
Right. But certainly, we want it to be very transparent in terms of the money comes in and the money goes out. Or did it go out where we said it was gonna go out to? And it would take somebody some effort for me to demonstrate that to
Sure.
somebody, because I don't have that part that's in the middle. I have on my list, I have the way I summarized it, and this is just all writing them down and adding them up kinds of things, so. And a bookkeeper could help with that, so I'm on board with that.
okay, good, yeah.
So what else do we want to talk about?
Well, the difference in the figures with the board budget and the proposal that we submitted to the county.
They are close.
But we
What
have,
we submitted to the county is what the tourism committee determined after reviewing what was there and realizing that I wasn't at this meeting, so you didn't understand some of the pieces of it. And that's I mean, it's easy enough to, get straight. Because you read what, without an explanation, one might think this is the same as that and they fit together, but sometimes they don't, even though we might have similar words with them.
Yeah, so Dick and I were talking about it on the drive down here, and in the past, things that we've submitted to the county on the ground didn't work out the way we thought, so we were able to make adjustments.
Right.
So I think that's what's going to happen here.
Well, I mean, we always do that.
Yeah.
We do that every year, and at the end, like, this is,
It's still the same total figure at the end.
right, it's the
Yeah.
same total, and there is an accounting of, like, this is the 2024, this is what went into the report for
Yeah.
2024.
I've got that here.
And it shows, what dollars were spent in each category, and how many were remaining. Right, that's what these 2 pages are, the last 2 pages of the report. And sometimes they get, usually they're saved for the same kind of work, but they don't have to be, and sometimes they haven't been, because in 2023, we were paying for that sign with every dollar we could find.
I remember, yeah.
And we spent dollars out of all kinds of categories to finish paying for the sign. And we said that in the report. We described what we did, and we said, we didn't do this, what we said we were gonna do, we had to use the money to pay for the sign. And that was project after project.
One thing is proposed, another is reality.
Right, yeah. And so we had, actually had a little money left over in 2023 that we actually spent in 2024. And now it looks like we've got a lot, except this $10,000 that's sitting on the top needs to go into a savings certificate. And I haven't done that. I was going to do it in January, but given that this year's RTMP dollars have been, they're not here yet.
Yeah.
I thought
Didn't-
I shouldn't do that until we get those dollars.
Mhm.
So that any expenses we had, we could continue to pay them.
Do we have this money now for this year?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
They got sent on the invoice last Friday, Thursday or Friday, so I would assume I'd see it by next week
Yeah.
sometime. And so then I'll take $10,000 from 2024, because I never did it. I did not get around to doing it in 2024. I just got busy doing other things.
I was looking at the minutes of that board meeting that you weren't able to get to, you know,
Right.
about, as we went through all this thing, and everything is in there one way or another. The figures aren't always the same, but the only thing that I see that's not in here is the Main Street. And that may be,
I think, well, it was there for 2024. It's not in the 2025,
Yeah.
because there was no discussion about we needed to put dollars in this proposal for 2025 for Main Street. So it's
Well,
not there.
see, that's part of the question too. The tourism committee came up with the proposal, but our understanding was it was a recommendation to the board, and the board reviewed it and made some adjustments to it. And that would be, the board approved budget versus the tourism committee approved budget.
I don't think the board voted on that.
We did,
You had a quorum to do that?
yes, at Ike's Pizza,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's why, as we were driving down here, we were talking about, well, this doesn't match. Well, I think probably the point that we discussed, and Johnny was part of it
Right.
too, was rather than creating another new website, we wanted to fold that into the chamber's website.
I don't think we do, Ken. I think we've got a problem with the tourism information going out well, and our website doesn't do that well.
Well, and that, again, was part of
And-
that discussion.
And we tried it, it's not working, and I think we need a separate website that just does tourism, and one that does taking care of the membership and all the other things that.
Okay. In my business with the newspaper, when I decided to upgrade my website from the initial one that I had, I did a search of companies that only do newspaper websites.
Mhm.
I've recently checked, and there are companies that only do Chamber of Commerce
Right, right,
websites,
that's correct.
which include multiple functions besides just membership. They also have tourism outreach. They have contacts with social media, whether it's creating automatic links to Facebook or doing monthly newsletters. You know, it's the whole package. So that's what part of the discussion at Hikes was about, was rather than having 3 websites promoting the McKenzie area, the Chamber of Commerce could be the one that everybody goes to for tourism information, for business support, for community events, and that sort of thing. And that's why we talked about combining that with, what are these different projects?
Wayfair.
Yeah, okay, website improvement, real need for transitioning to a more robust and user-friendly website. And that's what's combining that money so we could contract with somebody who is specifically dealing with Chamber of Commerce issues. With my business, with the newspaper, if I have an issue, they have 24/7 tech people that I can call on a Saturday or a Sunday. And because they only deal with newspapers, if they know why I'm having a particular issue, they've dealt with it before. When I've tried to work with the current website, there are issues in it where somebody originally designed it, somebody else came in and made changes,
Right. Oh,
and it's just unwieldy.
It's.
It has to be replaced.
If it just does the managing the membership, that I think is pretty straightforward to do with what's there already. The other parts of it don't work at all, right?
It's horrible. And then, you know, if somebody
think
comes
it's
in
not
and
even-
tries to work with it, they don't understand why particular changes were made in the code before. And they have to spend time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with a company that only does Chamber of Commerce websites, any issue that we might come up with, they've probably already solved.
Right. Well, I kind of feel that the model that goes on for Lane County and Travel Lane County is probably a better one.
Yeah,
In the sense that Travel Lane County does all the tourism. Eugene, Springfield, they have their own websites for their members and everything, and they're separate. They can talk to each other and you can link them, but they're separate standalone websites. And that's kind of what we were shooting for the McKenzie, is that we would have a tourism one that would link closely with the Travel Lane County one, and those would interact with each other. And the part that's more business and community-based, sometimes there's some overlap that the chamber would be doing, and that's kind of the conversations that we've had in the tourism committee.
yeah. Well, the board discussion was that to begin with, the existing Chamber of Commerce website needs to be replaced.
I agree wholeheartedly
And
with
that,
And we have resources to do that.
yeah, and that based on the models that other areas are using dealing with Chamber of Commerce website developers, all those functions can occur at one site rather than creating another new one.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but I know how well the Traveling County one works and effective it is, and that's what it's devoted to, is tourism. And I'd like to see us.
Well,
do
but it's
something.
it also deals with the membership issues for
Uh,
Traveling County members.
It does a little bit, but now it's, the kind of membership part of it is minimal compared to what it does on the tourism scale
Yeah.
side of it.
Okay, so how about we look at these different offerings from Chamber of Commerce website developers and present it to the board to see if they feel that what these different companies are offering will fit what we want to do.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there.
Right.
Yeah,
I.
because I don't know yet, you know, I've only,
I know we don't have $30,000 to make it happen.
sure,
And because then we've spent all of our tourism dollars for that, and then we've got.
yeah. No, I'm not talking about $30,000. Right now, I spend, let's see, $170 a month for my website, and the development cost to integrate it from my old one to the new one was about $2,000. So I don't know what the figures are going to be for these other companies, but I think it's well within what's available.
Well, I think we should.
But, you know, I don't know
Look
yet,
into it,
because
yeah.
I haven't moved forward on my own to do that.
Right. And
So it's up for discussion.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any skills in that area, so
Yeah,
I don't
and
have-
that's the thing,
and that's-
none of us want to, you know, be under the hood of this thing. We want the tech people who we contract with to be available and can fix it in 10 minutes.
Well, fix it, yes, that's part of it, but being able to, I don't know whether or not a cookie cutter design would get us what we want, but that's not saying we can't look at that.
Yeah, and what they'll do is they'll give us examples of, let's say, the Little Rock, Arkansas Chamber of Commerce or some other place, and we can look at what functions they have. And then if it's not what we want, we can ask them, well, what would it cost to include this?
Well, I think maybe where we should start is visit ben.com.
Okay,
Because, and I don't know if that does, no, that's not,
I know,
that's a website.
yeah, yeah,
And it's very effective on the tourism side of it.
sure.
And I don't know whether or not the Chamber of Commerce in Bend is interconnected with that or anything like that. I don't have any knowledge. I just know.
Yeah.
That's kind of, well, the Traveling County is a model, but that's on a scale far bigger
Yeah.
than,
Yeah,
maybe Bend is, I don't think Bend is on a scale bigger than what we need necessarily.
yeah, I've looked at the Florence Chamber and it seems to be really good.
And they do the tourism pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
I-
And I haven't checked to see who they've contracted with. But that's part of, you know, in these discussions with a contractor, we say, well, you know, what you're doing for Little Rock or whatever is nice, but this other Chamber of Commerce website has these functions. What would it take to have those in the package that you're proposing?
But if none of them, all of them on the tourism side depend on the local knowledge and what we provide to them to
Sure.
put in there and make them meaningful. So we get somebody to do it, but the pages all have to be developed from a local knowledge base. Otherwise, even, I don't know how the Traveling County made theirs work without that, but, because the people that do that are out of Tucson,
Mhm.
so I'm all on board with making something happen that way.
Yeah, if nothing else, improve what we've got.
We
Definitely,
desperately have to
yeah.
improve what we've got, because it's really.
It frustrates the dickens
Well,
out of me.
it's not working on the tourism side, scale, it's just not serving our needs. I mean.
Well, you know, I've tried different postings from the president, and it just drives me nuts because it's frustrating. I'd give it to Mary to send out instead.
Right.
Oh.
Or anything else on this list that you wanted to talk about?
No, not really. What about, Dick, do you have something?
Well, I just hearing, I just wanna make sure you guys are clear in terms of what you're gonna be spending this year. How, from what, and the amounts and stuff.
Well, I think, you know, the group here, the three of us as an executive committee, are going to be discussing that
Yeah,
as we move forward, because we're easy to get together
right.
rather than the whole board at a time, and then we make recommendations to the board.
Um, I would say that, so this is all 2024.
Yeah,
And there are resources from 2024 that didn't get spent that will fold over to 2025.
This is what I think was submitted for 25. I've been kind of looking at this in relation to this.
Well, then, that is what we submitted for 2020,
Yeah.
for 2025. I have that one here. So do we want to go down through that line by line? There we go.
You got it.
But this is the same.
I don't know, probably is.
It's just a different page, and this is where, these are the same numbers
Yeah.
as theirs, and this has got where we thought about, money that we're spending internally, and a lot of these are volunteer dollars in terms of time that we're putting in, to make something happen, like, the Mackenzie Crossing, the project that Catherine Wilson is doing. She told me she's got access to $5,000 of in-kind resources to help embellish the project
mhm.
from there. And that's true of some of these other ones as well. And some of these numbers are actually our time that we put into it to make it. Right, those are, most of these are dollars for people that are involved in the tourism committee that are spending time. I think, on the website improvement, and we need all the people at the table that understand how a good, tourism website could work for us.
Mhm.
And probably, bringing in some help from Traveling County would be useful to us
Sure.
to do that as well.
Yeah, I'm for that.
So you're combining,
Well, this is the thing, said combine, what was it? Yeah, CF and K. So CF and K on this, on these minutes.
right,
Well, that means history, Mackenzie history, wayfinding, and,
oh, okay.
and the website.
Right, well, the wayfinding, the dollars that are sitting there for that is only part of the wayfinding, and those dollars are earmarked to get the lights turned on in the Walterville sign. So that's what that means.
How is that going? Have you heard anything?
Well, we haven't got it kicked off yet. So, it's gonna hinge on a permit to be able, because it's ag property.
Yeah,
And we're gonna have a variance to be able to do it. The property owner is on board with having it lit for some hours. And, they have assured me that the image of that sign has everything it needs to be lit, and we'll have to buy the solar panels that make it happen. So those dollars are for getting the solar panels, people to do the work, and the permit. And my guess is we're gonna be short on dollars to do that. But that's what we've had remaining in the budget for that. And we've got it left over from last year plus this year. So I think we've got enough money to do it. Jeff Daney's gonna take the lead in it. He's got engineering expertise. So none of these things happen unless somebody steps forth
yeah.
and says, I will spend some time to make this happen. It's just not gonna happen if otherwise.
How's the tourism committee membership and enthusiasm these days?
It's pretty good. We don't have enough lodging owners at the table. I mean, these are transient lodging tax dollars, and we have difficulty getting them to be part of the discussion. Ever since the fire, it's just been, so people
I mean,
that,
I know Alicia's backed off.
well, she said she was gonna get re-involved, and now I guess that the death ball thing is
Yeah,
doing.
she's
then-
gotten
then
in.
Yeah, she's in it.
Then she's probably not gonna be,
Yeah.
she got what she wanted,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, I don't mean it that way. Well,
I think too many are interested.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe you and I, Dick, could just start going around as a team and
Well,
knocking on doors. And,
Tell you the truth, I don't know why I haven't got it done, but I've been talking to the people up in our area
yeah,
about getting them all together at my house. And now that it's into the season, I should have done it last month. And I've talked to them about it, but they say yes, but I don't know if they'll come or not. And I'm gonna talk, I do plan to communicate more with them again, maybe try to get them together, because they need to be linked more. And and they all use the excuse when the season starts, they just don't have the time.
yeah,
And I don't know how true,
Well, we used-
Wallace lives in Bend, and, she just has some people over here doing, she comes over,
who is that?
at La Loma
Oh,
Lodge.
Mhm.
right,
And,
okay.
and Cindy at the bridge is totally uninterested. She's running her restaurant.
yeah.
Right.
And,
How do you get along with Belknap?
They used to
fine,
be,
but very little
they used to be,
contact lately.
they used to be at the table, they were very active.
Yeah.
I know, but the management has
But
changed.
they're
and-
gone,
Yeah.
they're gone, they're not on it.
Yeah,
And I don't really have much contact with them now.
well,
They
it's
used
been
to
really
be-
strange because I've had really
Used to be
good,
on the same page with them all
Yeah.
before.
I used to be in really close contact with them, but there's been a change in the
Ken
managers there and,
Ken and Robert are
Yeah.
fine, and they'd probably come to a meeting, but their interests are like in the community activities. And she's involved with,
Right.
all the things at the school and the food program and all that kind of stuff, And she thinks she's full, her plate's full.
Right.
And,
Mhm.
Well, I mean, if they just say, whatever you do, we appreciate.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
that's that.
I think probably, in a sense, I don't know if they don't think they need the chamber and tourism committee for their occupancy. Part of the problem is that they don't have any trouble getting customers in the season.
yeah,
And there's a lot of reasons why they don't get more in the wintertime with this. I mean, and I've been sitting, usually my wife and I have gone away a couple of months in the winter, but the last two we haven't. And I can see why people wouldn't wanna come up here in January, February, March.
Well,
Well,
you know,
the river's still pretty.
It is, well, yeah, some come and sit there and watch the river, but you know, the active people and so forth.
Right,
It's
right.
really hard for.
It's really hard,
There's
yeah.
nothing to do, you know, at that point. The ones we get in the winter are usually older people that would just wanna come up and rest and stuff.
And enjoy, right, well, but they're paying for the room.
Well, we had up till a couple of years ago, we had a couple that were in their late eighties and into the nineties that would come for 3 weeks at a time, like in December, and come back in January, and just sit in the living room and praying for snow and watching the sports on TV and eating. They were a
That's a
delightful
vacation.
couple. They were a delightful couple. They both got too old.
Yeah.
Couldn't drive anymore. The sun wouldn't bring them.
Oh, well.
But you know,
Right.
it's just our last 2 winters, there, after the pandemic, we had strong winters for some reason, really. But the last 2 years have been back to normal. They pay for our utilities. And
Yeah.
that's about it. And I think people accept that that are in the lodging business, kind of basically accept that. And Alicia's got so many different activities and stuff, you know, they're kind of snowed under there.
Mhm.
They keep working on their place too. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know how many, Jean Fager, she's a manager, she owns one cabin, manages all those cabins. And she's not interested in getting involved. She was involved in the community center as treasurer for 100 years, and she gave that up. She finally got out of that, you know, but she's not interested in community involvement at all.
Well, you come and then people ask you to get involved and do something. And I think that's why.
Yeah, look at us.
So, you know, I think, and then there's this other huge area of vacation home rentals. How many?
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of.
Yeah.
those
Well,
that we got, and that's our competition these days.
Mhm.
Because I can see where people.
Well, I think that's what's
like
really
to go to
boosted
home
up
in the
the,
woods when it's the only place there, you know.
Right.
You don't have neighbors.
I think that's what's boosted up our rural tourism marketing funds is all those Airbnb rentals.
And, right, and so the money's coming from them as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is on that. That's another project I haven't done, is that basketball event, which is now Mackenzie River Resort.
Right, right.
And they've never said anything, been to anything in the community that I'm aware of. And I haven't gone in there and talked to them.
Maybe they need an invitation.
And I gotta do it, you know. I gotta get in there and drive in there.
Well, we could do that on our way back upriver.
My life keeps busy, you know, for some reason or other.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about was the Discovery Center. I know that you had mentioned that you hadn't received a request from them. So I talked to Shirley last year and told her that you wanted to receive a request, and apparently she didn't send you one. So,
Right. And she has sent me, well, what I can't seem to get
yeah,
straight is, it's not a donation, it's a grant. And with a grant, there's a statement about we need funds to do X, Y, or Z. And then when we got that on the piece of paper, then we can say, oh, that's tourism related. And everything about it is tourism related.
yeah.
And so it's just a matter of just a short paragraph that says that.
And why I can't get it through to her, I don't know.
And so she's looking at it as a donation, just send us money. And,
Well, I think that's how it originally started, but
well,
But,
but over several
anyway,
years, I
yeah.
had it different when Randy was more involved with it, and he would send a paragraph, 2 sentences, 3
Okay.
or something, that says, we're working on this, and your funds would help us do Y or Z or something. That's
Yeah.
all that we need.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Randy at the boat show and see if he can help get this straightened out.
I don't think Randy's really in the loop now for it. He's not on the,
Well, he's not on the board, but I haven't been able to get through to Shirley on it, so. If I talk to, if I talk to Randy, hey, Randy, something's gone off the tracks here and I need a little help, could you help me? And I think I can nudge it along that way.
Okay.
Because I think, as I said before, there's this real possibility of the chamber working with the Discovery Center for this $400,000 grant for the Main Street program this fall.
Mhm.
And I think our chances of obtaining that are really high because the Discovery Center will be operating in '26 and they're going to be documenting all these new visitors and we can have a great report back to Oregon State Parks.
Right.
But I
Well-
want to, have that relationship strong.
I guess I haven't communicated well with Shirley either.
Well,
in terms of
so we can fix it,
Trying
you know.
to help her understand what
Yeah.
it is that we need for our bookkeeping and paperwork. and,
Yeah.
um,
Sorry about that.
Well, we've just committed you to another volunteer job, or you were out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. So you gotta figure that, get that, whoever that person is and on the Discovery Center.
Yeah, surely,
Get that
yeah.
done. Well,
It shouldn't be hard to fix.
Yeah,
So,
I just don't want any hard feelings on either side, so.
I don't have any hard feelings,
well-
but, maybe I'm.
I don't think there is
if I'm
on
rubbing
either
her the
side,
wrong
but,
way or something, I don't know.
yeah, we'll just straighten it out.
Yeah, so are the is it something that we're reporting and or saying to the board out of our meeting here today?
Well, I think the key points are that the executive committee is going to be working on looking at, let's see, a potential bookkeeper to assist the chamber.
Look at that.
We're going to be looking at Chamber of Commerce website developers, and we're going to be looking at the possibility of a major Main Street grant request in the fall.
That the chamber's gonna do that.
Well, in partnership, I think that probably the Discovery Center would be in charge of,
They would take the lead.
yes, but it comes under the banner of Mackenzie Main Street.
Right.
But the major, dealing with all the funding,
So so the funds would come into the chamber,
mhm.
but and it doesn't matter that we are C6 rather than a C3, I guess that doesn't.
It doesn't, no,
Right.
no.
Oh, man.
But before we step into that, we're going to be talking about it.
I may be out of here.
Infrastructure.
I don't want to scare you off.
Yeah,
That's why I'm talking about a bookkeeper and, getting all this before we commit.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk a plank.
We do have this form that we use to
Yeah.
do reimbursements, and so whenever any of us spend our money to do something, then we fill this out
Oh, yeah.
to, just had one, I guess, okay. Brittany
Uh-huh.
has taken on a role related to helping promote events. And one of the ways that we do it is we buy a service from the WOW Hall.
Right, yeah.
Where they distribute posters for you for a couple of weeks, and it's really inexpensive to do that. And so she did that, she paid for it herself, and then she filled out one of these to get reimbursed, and so I got this piece of paper, this is a valid activity, and then we got it there in our
Yeah.
record, so. I've got a piece of paper to support every check that's written here. Had been, it's one of my major goals, because I don't want, oh, what was that for?
Sure.
And, what was that for? So,
Oh, something that just came to mind, soon we're gonna hear back from Dale Turnley about the info center at the Walterville Shopping Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Is
there's
that
money
being
here.
used very much?
Yeah, I stop there once a week, and
We need.
usually on holiday weekends, it's cleaned out. But normally I add maybe 5 different copies of different brochures, whether it's hunting, fishing, Traveling County, my traveler's guide,
We
or
need
some of the
bigger
other things.
holders, those little skinny things just don't do it.
Yeah, well,
So when it gets redone, we need,
okay, I'll
so-
price
so-
the bigger ones.
so you can at least get 5 of the Traveling County things, something, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
And it's got that information center thing on the side of it. You know, we did have a sign on the highway up until, I would say,
I
it's
know.
been in the last 6 months.
yeah, where did it go?
I'm assuming ODOT came and changed something and they took it
Yeah,
away.
so we can request that they reinstall it once the thing is rebuilt, because if they look at it now, they won't.
Because Johnny said, and it's been there for years, and
Yeah.
then I went down the highway and it's not there, so.
I know, I
what?
saw that too.
Oh, I'm not the only one
Yeah.
that missed it.
Okay,
But technically, I know that Traveling County didn't like it being there because they think, their opinion is that that sign should only be used for a place that is staffed, that can provide information, so I don't know that they did anything because they had plenty of years to do it.
Yeah.
To get rid of it.
Matt and Karen visited. Our Karen or 2 others.
I had one other thing that I wanted to bring up. but
Hi.
Now it's jumped out of my head. Oh,
I'm in a meeting right now down here in Leesburg. I can call you back after.
oh, I know one thing.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
get my voided check
no.
for the Lucky Logger?
Calling me about.
They wouldn't take a check for the
Call back. So-
gift
What
certificates,
were you asking about?
so I mailed it to you and I wrote void on it. I paid them cash.
I didn't get that.
Okay, well, when you get it, send me a check.
So I don't, oh,
Oh.
so I will have a piece of paper, otherwise just put it on this.
We'll wait until you get
Make sure
it.
it's
It'll be in the mail.
It'll be in the mail,
Yeah.
okay. Did it go to
You know,
the
insured outfit.
chamber thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that sounds good.
yeah, they surprised me.
Okay, great, thanks.
They don't take checks at the Lucky Lottery.
Right.
Maybe they don't write checks. I see. Oh, the thing I wanted to mention is, when you look at the bank statement, and there are 2 certificates there. There's one for $8,157. There's one for $5,200 and something. The $5,000 one was money that has been put in over several years just as a savings account. The $8,000 are the dollars that are in there for maintaining the community signs.
Oh,
And so we've got dollars there to do that. If one of them gets damaged when it needed painting, we took dollars out of that fund. And they're in 24-month certificates, so I actually spent dollars from someplace else,
mhm.
but then I took them out of there and put them back in the other when these would renew. I wasn't gonna take dollars out in the 24-month period. And so the plan would be to take this $10,000
Mhm.
from 2024, $5,000 from 2025. And so we would have a 50, plus this 5 will still sit here, it would be a $15,000 that is in a certificate that is cushion for the tourism activities in time. So that would represent about $20,000.
Okay,
Well, and if you have to take it out early, you lose the interest, but
Sure,
still you've got the money
sure.
there. So that was part of the discussion about in 2024, when they gave us more money than they usually did, the money that the county was holding back, they went out, they just distributed it. And I think it's a good idea
Yeah.
to set funds aside in case.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The income is less in a future year than it is in this year. But we have a hard time spending $50,000 as it is. I mean, you can spend it, but I mean, I think it needs to be spent well.
Mhm.
Well, wisely, yeah.
sure, okay.
I have a question that I don't know, but it seems to me like some of these items are items that the tourism committee implements.
They all are.
Well, that's the question I have, are
Right.
they?
Well,
Are they all? In other words, no.
this is
several
rural
years-
tourism, this is the rural tourism marketing program. So
Well, Yeah, but
the tourism committee sits down and talks about
well,
what's the best thing
that's
to
the
do.
question I have.
Right.
Is how does the budget come about in the future? The question is, not like the website, for example, you're talking about the new website.
Right.
That's more like a board project than the.
Well,
the
but,
tourism committee, right?
it,
I'm just trying to
well,
understand all that.
if you're gonna roll tourism in with it, it would be some of both. If it's an operational, to operate the chamber, technically it's not part of these dollars. It's not, but the more effective the chamber is in doing its business, it is helping the community and it's helping all the businesses in addition to the lodging businesses. I think we can make an argument, because we do, the chamber dues is about $4,000. And we've got $2,000 in insurance off the top. And then the tax man takes $1,000.
And that's a separate place, that's somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
Than here.
Well, right, the dues don't show up in this. At one time, we had a budget that I did, but nobody ever did anything with it or paid attention to it, and I stopped doing it because it was a pain in the butt, and the
Well, that's part
board
of-
didn't use it. And
Part of
so-
my question down the line is if the board's gonna be active, and like.
Then you should see
like
the
Rick-
dues, and you should see all of these other expenses.
Right, yeah.
And so you could say, hey, well, if you take 10% off of this, you got your dues plus 10, roughly. I don't know, I guess the board could talk about that, but I wouldn't take over 5 or 10% for
Mhm.
administrative cost. But I don't think, it wouldn't be unreasonable to do that, because the chamber is
But what-
making this happen.
At the times in the past, we had a part-time staff person, was that somebody under the tourism committee?
No.
Or under the board?
I don't,
it was under the board,
it was under the board.
yeah.
But, and so there was some kind of a financial thing that was different than this budget here.
Right, well, if more resources were on the table, then the chamber could possibly hire somebody part-time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Well,
thinking-
We're gonna buy
I'm not
a-
thinking about that.
Well,
It's
I'm
easier
just
to buy a
trying to-
service than to
I'm
hire
just trying to
somebody.
figure
well, I was hoping that we could get a AmeriCorps person, but all these federal budget cuts now, they just wiped out that program.
My experience with them, Ken, has not been that good.
Hmm?
My experience with them hasn't been that good. When we had, the last one we had,
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. It's more training for them than.
well, it is, but they took issue with actually doing chamber-related things.
Hmm.
And they didn't see that as their role.
Well, I've
And they are working for us, and they don't see that as their role? No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I've been really impressed with Braden, who's been working with Brandy. He's been there for 2 years as their staff person
Yeah.
through AmeriCorps, and
Oh.
he's great.
Well, but, okay, these were rare people, so
Okay.
it's different, I guess.
Yeah,
than
this is
AmeriCorps.
AmeriCorps, yeah. But
And
I guess he isn't gonna be around much either.
Yeah, they
you know.
took-
God,
took issue with actually doing some of the things that the chamber needed doing. And it was
Now,
like,
the tourism committee is the only committee we have
right now, yeah,
right now under the board, right?
yeah. Well, you know, last year, we couldn't get quorums 50% of the time. This year, I think we've got a board that wants to be involved, and I want to keep that momentum going forward, so. If we have meetings that they feel that they're a part of, and that their opinions are not only solicited but acted upon, then I think we can work as a good team.
right,
So that's what I'm hoping for this year.
Yeah, it's tricky.
We were lucky to get all those people involved in that survey for the Main Street thing, so that's some momentum we can build on. I'm hopeful.
right.
Are the people on the tourism committee excited about the Main Street project, or are they?
We haven't talked about it that much, really.
Is that right?
This is, I will get them, I think they could, to the extent that the things that the Main Street program enhances the tourist experience, then.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's been used for in other parts of the state, so I think the return on it can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, have we covered everything?
Everything I was
Yeah.
interested in covering.
Okay,
So,
good.
I sure appreciate you.
Yeah.
You, all these years, my gosh.
well,
Boy, you
Carol-
really held
Carol-
it together.
Carol is, trying to sneak out the door. And,
I hear that, I did that one time. Somebody wrote me back in here, I don't.
And she's going to phase herself out, so to the extent that, well, a bookkeeper could help
Yeah,
with
it's-
some of this, but.
Well, you have two major hats, the tourism committee and the treasurer.
Well, actually, the treasurer part isn't that hard because it's mostly tourism dollars. And like I say, there's a project, there are dollars, that's kind of a no-brainer. You don't
Yeah.
have to figure anything out other than keep, account for it. Keep a running tally.
You're the most consistent presence over the years
Yeah,
in the whole thing.
Well, in the tourism at this point, but I need to find somebody that will take it over and be interested in doing something.
you think
with it.
Johnny might, or is she too busy?
I don't know.
That's the other issue,
Yeah.
who could do it?
Well,
Who would do it?
somebody that's got a business that benefits from tourism.
Yeah. Mhm.
And if maybe, I don't know if Amber with the honey place, and I guess Jean, that's this person that's now got a flower, trying to do a flower
Right.
business. I mean,
Were you at their table,
was I at their table?
at the Main Street?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like they were pretty active. Were you at that table?
I was at the table at the
Yeah.
last step, I went over there.
Yeah,
And,
they seemed pretty energetic.
well, they only need to find out $900,000.
Oh, gosh, what?
To buy those buildings.
Oh.
If they have those buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, that group of people, and of course Nadine was there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Judy was there, rooting for him.
Sure.
$900,000.
Well, see, the two properties in across Lieberg, the gallery and that
Oh,
building next
right,
to it.
Yeah.
right.
Are for sale for like $900,000.
Oh, wow.
Or $899, you know, and they have a dream, these people in Lieberg, this sort of core group, I don't know how many others, but those ones in the meeting they had a real up about getting that the little building and making a coffee shop and cafe and all that for
Right.
people in Lieberg to come to it. And then I'm not sure how, I couldn't quite understand how they saw the gallery in that picture in the long run or two, but it's a wonderful idea that says Lieberg could benefit
Sure.
from what they're talking about, but.
But
But they
$900,000.
don't have any money.
Right.
I said, well, you have to go out and raise it. And they said, oh, yeah. And I said, you could raise it if you get out there and find the right people. Get a thing going in there.
Wow. Could that
Well, that's
property
okay.
be worth it?
Depends on
I
how
know-
old you are.
I know, I talked
A
to,
lifetime.
25 or 6 or 7 years ago, I talked to Ken Scott, when he'd finished remodeling his gallery there, when he
Mhm.
bought it and got it, was going. And he said he put in $200 and some $1,000 remodeling that building.
Right.
And then he added that other building, and it includes that kiosk, that
Right.
whatever that thing is, you know, and there's some land, you know, that was, but I don't know if those properties could be separated or not. But I don't know if they're doing anything further about it except dreaming. But, that gal with the flower business was really enthused about wanting.
Well, I guess
something to
if you
happen.
could come up with a down payment